Hello, this is Robert again. We'll get started very soon here. Just giving others a chance to join. Others are joining as I speak, and we'll get started in probably just a minute. Well, I think we've waited long enough, and the meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be available on our website, lizardtech.com, later on. You'll find that posted in our archived webinar section. We're ready to get started. My name is Robert Parker. I'm a sales engineer here at LizardTech, and I'll be talking to you today about serving out imagery. It doesn't have to be so hard. We've got a product called Express Server 8, which actually makes it easier than you might imagine to serve out terabytes, petabytes of imagery very quickly and easily. So without further ado, let's take a look at Express Server, what it is, what it does, how does it make it easy, why do we call this effortless? Well, let's take a look first at what the client end looks like, what the customer might see. Here on the screen that I'm sharing with you, I have a sample application, and of course this could be any application, and this one just happens to be a web application. It's using open layers, built by Open Layers, which is an open source map viewer. So inside of Open Layers here, we've just said, okay, we'll use this link up to Express Server, and the customer can just, double click or pan and drag the map, and as you drag, the tiles load in nice and quick, and I can double click in certain areas, and it just zooms in and loads in tiles. You see everything pop in right away, and this kind of behaves just like you would see in popular mapping applications out there like Google Maps that people use today. But this is all using my own imagery. This is using the state of Washington that we're hosting here on our LizardTech servers. So it's a really quite fast experience to pan and zoom this data and just using this web application. But of course there's other ways of accessing the data. You can access the data directly in other applications, for example in ArcMap. So here I'm sharing with you ArcMap, and I've got actually a customer data set loaded in. The state of New Jersey is also an Express Server customer. They're hosting imagery, terabytes of imagery, and so they're serving it out. I just connected to it via ArcMap here, and if I zoom into a particular area, then it'll pop in, and I can do the same thing. I can use the pan tool and pan around, and it'll load in as well, right in directly into ArcMap. And I can, go to any area of the state that we have here, and it's full resolution data. And actually, that's quite a particularly beautiful little scene there. But so the idea is that you can connect to this data from within a web viewer. You can connect to it via ArcMap. You can have this on the internet. You can have it over the intranet, your local network, or just on your one machine alone, just to view the data. Here I have it on my local machine. I can look at data that I've got here and view it that way. So those are just some of the ways that we have of viewing Express Server data. But how easy is it to set up a catalog like this? How easy is it to set up a map like this where you can have your users just pan and zoom, or maybe even crop and export out areas of that? Is that something? Let's take a look at what Express Server does to make that easy for you. So if we look here at the Express Server administration website, in fact I'm going to pull it up here just to show you the data set that I was looking at. here you see all of the catalogs that I'm serving out here. And this one here, this Seattle catalog, if I go look at what this Seattle catalog is, it says, catalog folder E-Images Seattle. So let me just go there. This is E-Images Seattle. Inside here, it's just all my Mr. Sid files. Now, if you're not familiar with Mr. Sid, I don't know where you've been, but Mr. Sid is really the industry standard for compressed imagery. So this imagery is compressed, but yet the quality of the image is the same as the uncompressed source. So it's going to be 20 times smaller, but it'll look exactly the same. So all of these images, these hundreds or thousands of images, are all in the Mr. Sid format, and they're just sitting in this folder. And all I had to do to serve this out is to just tell Express Server where my imagery was stored. So I can just say here, all right, here's my, if I add a new catalog here, I'll just paste it in there, and it'll do all the rest for me. And that's really all I have to do, is just tell it where the imagery is stored. And what Express Server will do is it'll actually mosaic all of this data on the fly, and it'll also reproject the data on the fly if I ask for it in a different coordinate system. So I don't have to worry about mosaicing any of this data. I don't have to load any of this data in a database. These images are just sitting in a folder on the file system, and I can just and that's all I have to do. Express Server is going to do everything for me. So there's nothing for me to do here. It's done. I can now access my data online and publish it and let others access it, and that's it. That's all there is to it. It's really a one-click scenario. I mean, I guess there's a few clicks there, but as far as serving imagery, that's all you have to do. Is you specify the path where the imagery is stored, and Express Server will do all that mosaicing for you on the fly, and make that available. As far as reprojection on the fly goes, in fact, this particular data is actually in state plane for New Jersey here, and when it's being requested from ArcMap, ArcMap's actually requesting it in lat long. So it is being reprojected on the fly by Express Server as it comes in. And of course, there are other ways to publish imagery very quickly as well. Maybe some of you have heard of Geo Express. If you haven't, Geo Express is what lets you create Mr. Sid files from other image formats. So for example, if you had TIFF files that you wanted to serve out, well, first you'd want to make sure that you convert those to the Mr. Sid format, because that's really what enables this high-speed processing of the imagery. You can just add your data in here. You can just say, all right, I want to publish images directly from Geo Express, and you can publish them from here. Let's say I wanted to publish that. I could publish to Express Server, give it my host name, and tell it what catalog I want to publish that into. Or I could just encode an image. Let's say there's an image that I want to encode, and when it's done encoding to Mr. Sid, I want to have that, instead of going to the file, I want to have that go to an Express Server catalog. And I can do that. I can just choose my catalog, and it'll actually publish that new image as soon as it's done encoding. So from within Geo Express, when I'm creating my Mr. Sid files, I can just have those published automatically when they're done. So we've got the speed of the service, which is fast, and then how to set it up, how to publish that imagery is just a matter of giving it a folder name and letting it do the rest. And of course, you can do other things. You can add more advanced options in here. You can add descriptions and things like that. Another thing to note is that Express Server is a very powerful server. It actually supports a large number of users accessing this at the same time, and it processes these results or these requests in fractions of a second. So you're looking at a response time that's in a fraction of a second, no matter how many users you've got using this, as well as no matter how much imagery you have on this. I mean, you can really load up the imagery, and on this particular demonstration server, we've got tons and tons of imagery. We have several states. We've got the state of Idaho at full resolution, the state of Washington at full resolution. Same thing with Oregon, basically up there in the Pacific Northwest. We've got all these states. We've got tons of counties and other data as well. We've got all sorts of data, terabytes and terabytes, and the customers that are using this and publishing and making their data public, they've got terabytes of data. The state of New Jersey, for example, I can take you and look at. If I open up a new map here, I'll just show you all the catalogs that they have, and it's basically the state of New Jersey over and over in different kinds of. So we've got black and white 1930s maps, infrared 1995 through 2012, natural, all different kinds of base maps and topographic maps. So there's lots to look at, and it's immediately available to you. And as you can see, these are just mosaic together on the fly, and they didn't have to do anything to special to make that happen. So essentially that breaks it down, and I'm going to take a look and see what kind of questions we have at the moment. So if you do have questions, I'll just remind you that you can use the chat panel. All the phones are muted at the moment. Someone asked what all the beeping is. The beeping is people are entering the meeting and joining the phone conference or leaving the phone conference or getting disconnected or something like that. So that's it. So if someone enters or exits. So we've got other questions here. Let's see here. So when you add a catalog, I'm answering a question here. When you add a catalog, it does say indexing, and what happens when you add your catalog is Express Server will automatically take a look at that imagery, and it'll figure out what projection it's in based on the metadata in the imagery. And it uses that projection information to create an index and it does this for you. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just tell it where the folder is. But it'll automatically create this index for you, and you can see here these EPSG codes here tell us what projection the source imagery is in that folder. It creates that index. That's what allows it to mosaic on the fly. It enables it to speedily give you the part of the image that you want to view. And this server works over low bandwidth. It works over high bandwidth. In low bandwidth situations, it's very effective because it doesn't need a lot of bandwidth to deliver the smaller areas. And excuse me, it can handle delivering that out, to low bandwidth networks like used by the military. And many of our military clients, which do not make their installations public or anything like that, they sometimes are using this in low bandwidth networks and having very, very fast results. One other thing that I was going to show you is that there's this downloadable property of Express Server. There's this ability to, have a map like this. And this looks to be also a question that's just come in here. How easy is it to extract imagery for a specific area? Does it allow for resampling for the export? So if we take a look at this example here, if I'm going to come in here, let's say I want to extract this region. Basically, all I have to do in this particular thing is it allows me to draw a box around an area, then I can hit export. And in this particular web app, it allows me to download it as a TIFF. So I can save this TIFF, and actually it's gonna save it at full resolution. Even though I'm not looking at this area in full resolution, it's gonna let me download the full resolution of that region. And Express Server gives me the option to download that as a JPEG or as any number of formats. And another good question here, someone asked me here, what OGC standards does this server support? And that's a good question. I should have pointed out here that what we're looking at is mostly WMS, so that's an OGC standard, WMS, and that's what you would use with ArcMap or with OpenLayers or any of those. There's a proprietary API that you can use as well that you can access to serve out imagery. And in addition to that, we also support JPIP because the server supports the file formats JPEG 2000, it supports Mr. SID, and for government customers, basically it supports the NITF, NITF format as well. So you can serve any of those file formats out. So you're saving on file space, you're saving on setup time to serve the imagery out, and it's full resolution, high resolution imagery. It can even be multi-band hyperspectral imagery using the new Mr. SID Generation 4. And you can serve out the different bands from the same data set. So for example, in this data set you can see they got infrared and natural. That can be from the same data set rather than having to keep copies of different ones. So you can download regions, cropping out an area, and in fact this is another heavily used function, especially in the oil and gas industry and in the military where maybe you're going to be offline, you're going to have a handheld device that you need to export imagery to. It's very easy to just come in here and just clip out a region of the area that you're going to be working in and take it on your handheld device. So those were some very good questions. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, guess what? There is a free demo, a free trial available online at lizardtech.com. So if you just go to lizardtech.com, you can, www.lizardtech.com, and on that page you'll see downloads link. It's also on the front page here, Express server. You can download there, and you have a free trial. Let's see, there's a question here that says, is there a list of supported imagery formats somewhere on the website? And you can go here to Products, Express Server, and I'll send a link here. And you can get all the supported input formats, the formats that Express Server supports, but basically it's Mr. SID, JPEG 2000, and NITF. Of course, if you have Geo Express, you can convert anything to one of those formats. Another thing that Express Server supports is Geospatial PDF, which we didn't really cover much here, but let's see. Essentially, you can view your GeoPDF files with Express Server without much preparation as well. You just tell it what GeoPDFs you want to serve, and as you can see here, it's quite simple to just view PDF files, Geospatial PDF. So, yeah, let me send that link here in the chat room. Remember to go and grab a trial of Express Server. It's free for 30 days. And if you have any questions as well, you can contact me. I'm at rparker@lizardtech.com, and I'll put that in the chat for everybody. And Brian's asking what the base price is for Express Server, and that is something that I don't know offhand, but I could have a salesperson contact you to give you the list price. And there are other ways of getting pricing as well. So, so let's see. I'll put my email there. You can contact me anytime, and I can forward you to the appropriate salesperson, or we'll just have a salesperson contact you. And if there are no other questions, then I really appreciate everybody coming by. I hope that you learned something today about Express Server and how easy it is to serve out the imagery you've got. It doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to load stuff in a database. You don't have to work so hard at it. It's just a matter of checking a box, telling Express Server what imagery you want to serve, and that should do it. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming out. I hope you have a great week.